Okay, hang on, un momento. Open, Elmo, 20. I need to print some of these out, so let me just write a couple down. Okay, the only difference today is now it says equals 0. Okay, we've got x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Okay, so now we actually are going to get to solve these. Before we were just factoring. We were taking expressions and factoring. So now we're going to solve by factoring. These are all quadratics. Quadratic is because it has an x squared. Okay, I'm going to do my little sidebar real quickly. I want you all to think about this. I want to give you about 30 seconds to think about this. If I tell you a times b is equal to 0, what can you tell me about a and what can you tell me about b? Give me about 30 seconds of think time. Then I'm going to ask someone to chime in. 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Think about this. What has to be true? I want you to think about it. What has to be true about one of those two numbers? Okay, someone chime in and tell me what has to be true about A or B.
One of them has to be 0.
One of them has to be 0, or both of them could be 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to first factor this. So we have two things, A times B. Okay, but it's going to look like X plus 7 or whatever it's going to look like. One of these two parentheses has to be 0. So let's first factor it. So our step 1 is to factor. Okay, so we're going to magic X. 15's on top because there's really a 1 here. 1 times 15 is 15, and 8's here. Factors of 15 are either 15 times 1 or 3 times 5. The factoring should be pretty simple today. I'm going to use 5 and 3. Sorry, they should be plus plus. So now I can rewrite this as x plus 5 times x plus 3 is equal to 0. And some people say, well, Miss Sweat, what if I wrote it like this? And this would be fine. Remember that A times B is the same as B times A. When it's multiply, 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 you can just reverse. Okay, so now I know that one of these two has to be 0. So what we do is we find the zeros. We say x plus 5 equals 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. And then we solve both these. So step 2 is set each factor equal to 0. What I mean is each paren. Okay, so this is step 2. And step 3 is to just solve. And today they'll be quite simple. Here I subtract 5, and I get x equals negative 5. And here I subtract 3, and I get x equals negative 3. And so you would write your answer like this. The way they're going to write it is x is equal to either negative 5 or negative 3. That's how that's written with the really pretty braces. Some people will notice it's just the opposite of these two numbers. And that literally is all it is. Let me do one more example. X squared plus x minus 30. Step 1 is factor. 2 is set factor to zeros. Set factors equal to 0. And step 3 is solve. So I'm going to magic x. I put a negative 30 here and a positive 1. 30 times 1, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. These have to be different signs because that's a negative. That's the only way you can get a negative when you have two numbers multiplying together. The difference of my factors, so different sign, difference. I need the difference of my factors to be 1. 6 is bigger, so it needs to be positive. So I'm now going to rewrite this, step 2, as x plus 6, x minus 5. Right from here, some of you can say, hey, I know my answers are negative 6 and positive 5, and you're 100% right. Sometimes, though, it is helpful to set them equal to 0, but at the beginning, it's quite simple. X plus 6 is equal to 0, or x minus 5 is equal to 0. I would subtract 6 here and get x equals negative 6, which is the opposite of this, or x equals 5, which is the opposite of this. These are your two answers. Okay, right now I want to I'm going to stop